You're watching Market View. It's 2 p.m. Central African time on Eswatini TV. We're coming to you live from our Mbabane studios. Thank you so much for choosing us this afternoon. This afternoon, we shine a spotlight on one of our homegrown success stories, DJD Investments, that have become the topic of conversation pretty much since last week. Yes, they did win the Entrepreneur of the Year awards regionally, and they competed for the national award, which was eventually awarded to them on Friday by His Majesty King Eswatini III. Such a moment for DJD Investments, but a lot of questions around how do they plan to scale up after this win, as well as just, how did they really enjoy the moment of being handed the award by His Majesty the King, and essentially just being the eventual winners of the Entrepreneur of the Year awards. Duncan Dlamini, the founder and chief executive of the company, is with us here at Eswatini TV. We're going to be in conversation with him after our business news. Let's start with our news. In our first story today, the Manzini municipality has recorded over 533 million emalangeni in assets in the year 2024-2025. Now, these figures were shared by the Director for Finance, Nomcebo Dlamini, during the municipality's annual general meeting at the George Hotel in Manzini. The Finance Director stated the equity accumulated surplus, in other words, was at 289.2 million emalangeni for the financial year. We have a report.
Our revenue here being our rates that we collect on an annual basis, they increased by 7.7%. As we see here, the increase was from 87 million to 93 million. Next, we have our other operating income, which also increased by a significant amount. This is where we have our user fees, or where we have our other services that we offer within the city of Manzini. May I highlight that our sources of income are only these two. However, in previous years, we have other sources of income. We had subventions, we had CIP, but now as the city, we are only relying on the property taxes as well as the user fees. Next, we have operating expenditures, which increased by 21%. This is an indicator that the service requirement by the city increased significantly than what we collected. And next, we also have finance cost. We had to rely on borrowings in offering other services, more especially services that related to capital projects, imigwaqo. Our revenue increased by 7% because of increase in tariff. The tariff increased by an average percentage of 7%. Also, to add on that, our revenue increased because more properties were charged rates, and also our bad debtors, they made a positive move, of which we gladly appreciate that. Kusho ukuthi sive siyasibambisa as we try to collect the rates. Next, we have other operating income. Other operating income, I mentioned earlier that it increased by a significant amount. This was influenced by the bad debtors. The movement in bad debtors was not that significant, but it was significant from my end as the finance person. Next, I will go on into our financial position, which we also call the balance sheet. Here, our total assets increased by 23%, which is good on our end. They increased from 433 million to 533 million. I will narrow down to our property, plant and equipment, which is our non-current assets. They increased by 11.4%. Then also may I go and highlight our rates and other receivables. Our receivables, that is money that is outstanding or money sitting with debtors. There was a slight decrease, meaning our bad debtors, they made a movement. As much as it's 2%, but this is a positive move from our end. My community members, Bambisa. Our borrowings increased by 48.7%. We needed external funding or monies from financial institutions that we work with in the construction of roads, hence the increase in borrowings. Then next we have our current liabilities. Our current liabilities, they increased by 23%. These are liabilities that we were supposed to pay within, or liabilities that we are supposed to pay within 12 months in the next financial year.
The Manzini municipality's borrowing has increased by 48.7% in the year 2024-2025. That is when it's compared to the previous year. With defaults in payment of property rates standing at around 80 million emalangeni, the chief executive, Lungile Dlamini, shared this during the municipality's annual general meeting, where she further highlighted the stricter measures that will be taken to bring to book those who default in paying property rates.
As the city grows, the demand for the cost of services also increases and it grows. So as a municipality, we have traditionally been funded by having funds that are subventions and other capital investment funding that would come from national government. But the direction of national government lately has been that as cities we should try and investigate and put together other revenue making ways in order to fund our service delivery and infrastructure. That has been a challenge in that we are not in the business of making profits, but we are government in the local space. And we decided that out of any challenge in life, you become innovative and you think of ways of how to come out of it. So we have put together a resource mobilization unit, which we hope will be able to attract more donor funding and partners globally and locally. Because a city is developed using partnerships. So we are going to grow those partnerships. We're also going to go into business and have a special business vehicle of council that will be able to put together business avenues that will bring back profits or revenue that will be able to help us fund the service delivery. We are also going to, which we are already doing, be involved in public-private partnerships that will help us to deliver road infrastructure that we are already working on. And public finance initiatives are also on the table, and we are currently working on them. We have projects that are already on the ground that we are implementing using.
And that is how we wrap up our news. We go for an ad break. Duncan Dlamini, the founder of DJD Investments, is in studio. We speak to him after the break.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.sz.
All right, welcome back. Duncan Dlamini, the visionary founder of DJD Investments, was last week crowned the Entrepreneur of the Year 2025 by His Majesty King Mswati III, a moment that marked one of the greatest milestones in his remarkable entrepreneurial journey. He walked away with a brand new Toyota Hilux worth 600,000 emalangeni, and that included a cash reward of 45,000 emalangeni in recognition of his outstanding performance and business excellence. In his own powerful words, he declared that he will become Eswatini's first billionaire, reaffirming his bold commitment to entrepreneurial and national progress. Today, he joins us in the studio to share his inspiring story. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Sfiso. Thank you very much. You are pleased as DJT to be here. Sifuna ukuqala nje Sfiso sikhuthe lwandle sithi bayethweni waphakathi for ukuthi unakelele bosomabhizinisi labancane eveni, ufune kuba khutsata ngekuthi ubakhele imhlomelo lefana nje ngalena lesiyiwinile. Kusoba bomabhizinisi labancane kusho lokukhulu ukuthi nasicala nje amabhizinisi siyesibuke sithi sifuna ukugcotshwa ngeimbobo yemhlaba isinikete etita lapho.
100%, and certainly, as you know, hail His Majesty King Mswati III. His visionary leadership is without a doubt, one of the biggest drivers for the ecosystem that we see that supports entrepreneurs in the Kingdom of Eswatini. The RSTP, which was also graced by him in terms of, the vision behind it, they always say it. That is where you started and you were incubated, and I think that's a story that has not been shared enough. Let's start there. Tell us about, that beginning story, being housed under the RSTP incubator program and what that set as a foundation for you.
Yes, of course, we were incubated at the RSTP in 2018 when we just started our business. The RSTP helped us a lot because from there, for example, we learned about the business model canvas that will actually tell us what things we need to look at, what touch points we need to look at, how do we need to look at our customers. The RSTP also assisted us in securing markets for our produce and also really understanding the requirements of the Swaziland Revenue Authority or Eswatini Revenue Authority. They really helped us in the incubation facility because when we were there, we also got lucky to get grants from the UNDP to procure the waste management solution and also some farrowing crates.
Yeah, it's quite impressive how, all these government agencies are real enablers of innovation in the Kingdom of Eswatini. And I think what you've done is you've validated it because some of the guys that you were competing with, some of them were also housed there and they won a couple of awards too. But I want us to get into now scaling from the Lowveld, because we know the Lowveld, particularly for sugarcane business and other businesses. And here you are, you came with a company that set foot from that kind of regional foothold. What were the milestones for you in that journey as you acquired independence from incubation?
Yes, thank you for recognizing the other guys that also participated in the competition. The competition was very, very tough, and it also showed what government institutions are doing in the country, because if you know, some of them were housed at SECO, they were incubated at SECO. It shows that they are also doing a great job there at SECO. And the other thing that I would love to bring to the highlight is that FNB also played a key role for us to get this award, because without them, there's no sponsorship. So we need to recognize FNB. Right. And then before I go to the scaling of our business, also I would like to bring it to your attention that the Peak Enhancement Project that started way back in 2017 really assisted us, which shows that collaboration is very key. From our understanding is that if you bring collaboration that is mixed with values, mission, and direction, you will go forward. Because from when we started with 20 peaks, but then in 2018 we increased to 25, and then from there we got funding, we got the loan guarantee scheme, we increased our capacity to about 80, and today we're talking about 180 to 200 pigs in the farm. We're able to supply consistently now. We had issues before when we started, we couldn't supply consistently, and then the market, if you are not able to supply consistently, it does not trust you, it does not give you those orders. But once you show them that you can supply consistently, you are lucky, because then they give you those orders frequently.
And I can imagine your supply, your demand is going to multiply now. Since you've won, your attention is probably, this is the greatest marketing your business could have ever asked for. everyone has literally read or has heard about the work that you do. And I'm just wondering, from a demand point of view, are you already thinking about how you will potentially be able to supply new potential buyers?
Yes, the demand, I'm sort of looking forward to it. Yeah. And this award, like I said, it's not just my award, but this award is for the pig industry as a whole. If ever we can get new customers or get new orders, it really says we need to build an abattoir that will be world-class. That will then help the other farmers, because then we can buy from other farmers and then supply to retailers or export to other countries as well.
Yeah, and I suppose the kind of question that I'm also trying to hint on when I say your demand is going to grow is that just winning the award, if we really get into that, what kind of representation does it mean for you and your team?
It means a lot, because if I can take you back what happened on Saturday, I was surprised to get the call from Ndlungulu, Gutsi Babewethu, Chief Jozane.
That is after winning, right?
Yes, that is after winning. He wants to see the car. Yeah. He wants to see our prize. And what he said he was happy that we brought Matsetsa or the Galanga community into the spotlight. Yeah. And he said I must pass his regards to the team. Okay. So the team there, yeah. The team was quite impressed, and to get the recognition from our chief, as well from the king. The community there was excited that we got recognition from the king. But when it comes now to business, I think and I pray that this will definitely increase our sales and also assist my fellow farmers as well.
The topic of showing gratitude and just appreciating His Majesty's leadership. We see these visuals. It looks like you're in conversation with the king before he even hands you the award. Not too many people can ever say they've had a conversation. Maybe they can say we took a photo, but it looks like you're in conversation. Do you want to share just a little what you guys talked about there with the king?
The king, with his wise words, he calmed me because I was nervous. Yeah. He called me, even said, "Tsatsa leskia la mina ungabambi tray sakho leskia tsatsa le motho hambe nayo ekhaya." So I was very, very happy to interact with my king.
Yeah, such a beautiful moment indeed. And then, what qualities would you say, or you believe, positioned you above the competition? Because I remember I had the opportunity to speak to the 4 of you regional winners on Friday, and I did get the sense that you'll probably win just based on the confidence that you had and the way that you were speaking about your business. But what do you believe were the qualities that made you stand out?
For me, I think when you look at DJT as a whole, and then when you go and look at the government website and you look under the Ministry of Agriculture, you can actually see that DJT did touch the strategic pillars of the Ministry of Agriculture, because we've contributed into employment in an area like Matsetsa, where we employ about 44 people. That's a lot, from the community. We are able then to also buy from other farmers to assist when we are short. Also, again, when you look at their city values, DJT ticks all those values. All of them, service delivery, the way we interact with our customers, it's true testament, because they keep on giving us the orders. The way we interact with our community, the integrity, because since 2017 when we started, we appointed professional auditors to look at our books. And the loans that we say we get from the banks, we have been paying them. If ever we've got challenges with our suppliers, we go and talk to them to say, maybe our payment is being delayed from our customer, but this is the date when we're going to pay. And then they give us that benefit of the doubt, give us stock, and we do what we do, and we go back and pay. So I believe DJT investment really lived the values of the Ministry of Agriculture. If you go and look at city values from the Ministry of Agriculture.
I mean, I want us to zoom out now and just look at the SME ecosystem in the country. And I'm happy you touched on that in the beginning, that it's quite essential that they are being validated because of the important work that they do. And you touched on the RSTP, you touched on SETCO. We can talk Youth Fund, which funded one of your competitors' business or when it was going through some doldrums. But if we really zoom out and we want to understand, what are some of the biggest opportunities for SME empowerment in Eswatini today?
From an agricultural space, I would say we are lucky because last year there was a fund that was launched for the agricultural sector, which I think is a company called EATF, and STJT Investment. We're also lucky to get funding from them. We'll be or rebuilding our sow units, and also we've already implemented now farrowing crates, and we're hopeful that maybe today or tomorrow they will be giving us a waiver to procure cold rooms because of the foot and mouth disease. So those cold rooms will then assist us to store if ever we are slaughtering in our slaughter slab, because now with this foot and mouth disease that has broke out in the Lubombo region, it required us to quarantine to hold any slaughter. If ever we're going to get maybe permit with slaughter, they will require us to do an inspection. So the normal day of the usual business process that we're following are going to change. So there's a lot of effect. So with this funding, they help us because they support infrastructure. We've worked with Eswatini Bank assisting us. We've worked with the FNB itself. We do transactions with them. And also we've worked with Arrowfeeds. They've played a key role. Crane Feeds, Boxer Superstore have played a key role to us. There's a lot of other companies in our community. Small SMEs, I'll give you an example of shoe investment. That's the people that supplies river sand and load. And when you look at the business that we give also to other local SMEs in the Lubombo region is quite good. And also that sometimes when we're short of the produce, we also call our farmers, other fellow farmers, to give us their produce, and then we also then pay them back in time, and they are happy. They are actually looking forward to the day when we have a proper abattoir and they are able to supply us.
Certainly looking forward to the day when you become the billionaire that you have promised us you're going to be. No doubt in my mind. Duncan Dlamini, the CEO of DJT Investment, from incubation to industry leadership. Now let's go for a net break. We have our market analysis shortly.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.sz.
All right, we have Sanela Lesbia on standby virtually, who's going to give us a quick high-level analysis of the markets today. Sanela, good afternoon. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ngumalo, and a good afternoon to the viewer. So when we're looking at markets today, what we're seeing is a relatively positive mood coming through from across, the US, London, and also Asia. But what we're seeing holding back markets a bit within the US is actually that issue to do with, the AI stocks. As we're looking today in the markets, we saw that the TSMC stocks actually pulled back a bit, signaling issues that the AI industry now needs to turn a profit, or rather they are moving towards turning profits, and that's quite visible in the tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite Index, which actually just sits at losing some 49 points in today's market trade. And then also the fact that we're seeing that the US government shutdown is somehow, showing signs of coming to an end, with the Senate actually agreeing to some framework to fund government until January. So now those positive news are actually cutting through into Europe, and also just into Europe, where you're seeing that the FTSE 100 actually traded quite positively, getting some 101 points in today's trade. Germany trying to regain those all-time highs of 24,000, and the French actually staying above at that 8,000 mark, largely driven by the markets. We're seeing a bit of positive reporting in terms of those entities that are reporting within those markets. When you move on into Asia, again, what we're seeing here is a lot of demand-driven market swings here. Within the Asian markets, what's happening there is we've seen the Chinese government actually posting figures that inflation figures have actually improved, or actually there is a bit of inflationary pressures that remain within the mainland economy there. But what that signals to the market is China continues to posit strong demand. We're seeing the holiday spending already coming into swing within the Asian markets, with the Nikkei gaining some 635 points, the Hang Seng getting some 407 points, and the Shanghai Composite Index staying steady above 4,000 with some 21 points gain today. And then the Johannesburg Stock Exchange is doing exceptionally well, back above that 110,000 mark, at around 111,000 in today's trade, largely driven by the fact that there is a promise to actually end that government shutdown within the US. And also we've seen gold ever since the latter part of last week maintaining that 4,000 mark there. So now that continues to drive momentum within the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. But in the local stock exchange, we've not seen any changes, Mr. Ngumalo. And then the price of gold is staying steady above that 4,000 mark, because there is a bit of that outlook in terms of what's going to happen with the government shutdown, and also how is inflation adjusting, and what will that mean for the Feds and also for all the other central banks across the world. So we are watching to see how that plays out. And Brent crude, still slightly subdued at around $63 per barrel, but we're seeing a bit of an uptick, following those positive news coming out of China, with demand actually on the surge for the holiday season. But there are still output worries within OPEC. But as well, we're also looking at the fact that there are fresh tariffs on Russia, so there is a bit of volatility that should be expected around the price of Brent crude. Then overall today, we're seeing relative strength of the Lilangeni against all major currencies, because we are linked to the South African dollar, and when gold does well, a resource-based economy like South Africa also does well, and then that means our economy also gets to benefit off of that. We are back at that 1720 mark against the dollar, the 1989 against the euro, and some upward surge against the Japanese yen at 898. Thank you, Mr. Ngumalo.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Right at the nick of time, 29 minutes after 2. In a couple of seconds, we hit the 30th minute mark after 2. You have been kind for staying with us. We appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Goodbye.
But first, French prosecutors this Monday morning have requested the release from prison of former